So coral reefs grow best in nutrient-poor environments because they like the clear water and they can create their own nutrients through photosynthesis. So they don't need any nutrients in the water. And then when there's coastal development from humans, there's always runoff of nutrients into the water, and this can be from sewage, from agriculture, fertilizers, from a number of different sources. And then those all combined have encouraged growth of other organisms, so algae, sponges, and things like that that can be detrimental to coral growth and cause stress.
One organism that we don't tend to pay too much attention to are excavating sponges. And these are silent and oftentimes inconspicuous, and yet quite prevalent on coral reefs. And one thing about them is that because they're so inconspicuous, their activity goes unmeasured. And what they do basically, they will penetrate into the calcium carbonate structure and just eat it from inside out. So they actually play a very important role in this bioerosion activity. And the last study in Barbados was carried out in the late 1990s. And we haven't done anything since.
The goal of this project is kind of to evaluate the abundance and distribution of these sponges around Barbados's coast on the Patch Reef and the Bank Reefs, and then look at their relative abundances in relation to nutrient gradients along the coast and human, settlement and industry, and see if there's a link between that, and then kind of develop and work with a management plan about how we can clean up our waters, reduce stress on our reefs, and kind of come back from this towards more healthy reefs.
The health of a coral reef is fundamentally, if we just flesh out all the meat, comes down to two fundamental processes. The creation of the calcium carbonate structure by the corals, and then the bunch of organisms that, and also physical processes that are actually eroding that calcium carbonate structure. And you have a healthy reef as long as the corals continue to, the activity of the corals exceeds the amount of calcium carbonate structure that is eroded, right? And therefore, because we live times where coral reefs are under threat and corals are struggling with many other stressors, it is important to know more about this sort of silent component of our coral reefs and almost inconspicuous component of our coral reefs to whom we don't necessarily pay that much attention to.
We normally arrive down at the yacht club where we keep the boat at about 7:30 in the morning, and we have all the gear in a locker there, so we just unload it onto the beach. And then I swim out to the mooring and get the boat in the very cold water. And yeah, we drive it into the beach. And we load up, and it's generally just me and an assistant. Otherwise, it's kind of a small boat and it gets a bit crowded. And then we drive out to the site and we have all the GPS coordinates loaded onto the GPS. And when we get there, we anchor, and a lot of them are next to sandy areas, so it's pretty easy for us to anchor. And then we get all the gear set up and we go diving. At each site, I have 6 quadrats set up. They're permanently marked, which we monitor over time, and they're each 5 by 5 meters squared. So I have a massive quadrat that we take down and set up there, and then we run ropes across in 1 meter intervals. So it kind of makes everything easy to find within the quadrat, so you can take repeat measurements of the same individuals. And I have everything mapped within there, so I can find everything and everything photographed. And I just record, and then we move to another one, and then we go through all 6 at each site.
Coral reefs are important not only because of their intrinsic high diversity, but also because they provide valuable ecosystem services to Caribbean societies. One that is perhaps the best known is that they act as a barrier against wave action and storms and hurricanes, and therefore help protect the shoreline, which will be something that will be a major issue with increasing climate change.
To me, sustainable development just means that human activities and human development are occurring in, I guess, in sync with nature and the natural surroundings. So we need, especially on island communities, we need the ocean and we need nature and we need coral reefs for livelihoods through fishing and coastal protection and tourism. And if we're developing sustainably, we need to protect those things as long as alongside developing our on-land communities. And it's a big thing that people don't really understand, that what you do on land impacts the ocean as well, and vice versa. So, and then whatever you put in the ocean seems like it's just going away, but actually it will impact your community in the long run.